Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you are enjoying this great day that the Lord has made for us. And we're going to begin in Luke 23. Now, at this time, Jesus has been captive, and Peter has denied him. So he is still in custody of the powers to be at this time during this event would be the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes. So, and the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate. Pilate, who's the governor at this time. And they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king." And Pilate asked him, saying, "Art thou the king of the Jews?" And he answered him and said, "Thou sayest it." So he has said it too, that Jesus is the king of the Jews. Then said Pilate to the chief priests and to the people, "I find no fault in this man." And they were the more fierce, saying, "He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all the Jewry or Judea." I guess they also called it Jewry. Jewry is Jewry, the root word being Jew. Okay, so let me read this again. And they were the more fierce, saying, "He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place." When Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as they knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at this time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him, and he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. And so, not only that, the Herod in the past, in their hierarchy, when the wise men had made known to Herod in the past of his birth, and the babies that were, I think, 2 and under were killed, hoping to have while they were seeking out Jesus at the time. So this was a long time coming for Herod. And so and up his time being on the earth, hearing all the things that he have done. So yeah, this Herod is very giddy to get to meet him. And so with him being Galilean, he falls under the jurisdiction of Herod and not of Pilate. So he gets sent to Herod. And in verse 9 it says, "Then he questioned with him in the many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood and vehemently accused him, and Herod with his men of war set him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate, Herod were made friends together, for before they were enemies between themselves. But they didn't like each other. They did not like each other prior to this event, but they became close during this time. And verse 13, it says, And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said unto them, Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverted the people. And behold, I have examined him before you, have found no fault in this man touching those things whereof ye accuse him. No, nor yet Herod, for I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. I will therefore chastise him and release him. So in other words, I'll beat him and then I'll release him. But they already done, mocked him and all those things, Herod and the chief priests and all of them. So he's not gone without being treated wrong at this point in time, even though they have nothing to accuse him of at this time that they can conjure up. So in 15 it says, I read that, nor yet Herod, for I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. Verse 16, I will therefore chastise him and release him. In verse 17, for of necessity he must release one unto them at the feast. So at the Passover, they release a prisoner to the people. I suppose this is tradition for them. And they cried out all at once, saying, Away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas. Number 19, who for a certain sedition made in the city and for murder was cast into prison. Pilate therefore, willing to release Jesus, spoke unto them, but they cried, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. And he said unto them the third time, Why? What evil have he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. So the chief priests and well, let's just put chief priests is they manipulated the multitude to release the murderer, and I think he also was a thief, but someone who was guilty of crime. They wanted him to be released, Barabbas, versus Jesus, who had no sin in him. And so they manipulated the multitude to go against Jesus you know, um, these are the leaders. These are the leaders that they have trusted in, long before Jesus came up on the scene, and they seeing his miracles and his glory up on the earth, but they trusted in the leaders more. Otherwise, they would have not been manipulated into choosing someone who is known by the community to do the things that he was doing and breaking the law and being arrested, and versus Jesus, who they have seen and heard of, because even Herod, who was not in that district, he was from Galilee, heard of the miracles and things that Jesus was doing. And so to be just to say, so they wanted the one that, if they were, they wanted the one that was breaking the law to be released back into the community. So anyway, so they said, crucify him. And he said unto them the third time, why? What evil have he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. And even if they may have not liked him, but both, Herod and Pilate said that they didn't find anything worthy of death. So, but being manipulated by, the priest, the priesthood, who had their agenda to have him killed, they went with what the public was saying, and they wanted him crucified. And he said unto them that I read that. Verse 23, and they were instant with loud voices, requiring that he might be crucified. And the voices, don't release him, but kill him. Like, what? This is an innocent man. Of them, it's like me reading this book. Let's just say we're in front of a judge and he has a foul on a person, but he see no cause for him to be in prison or have the death penalty. But because they were persuaded into this, an innocent man dies. And so we know that was written, but this is how this went down, the injustice of the system. So, of them and of the chief priests prevailed. So it say, chief priests, there you go again, the ones who is manipulating the situation. And Pilate gave sentence that he should be as they required. So there we go. They're persuaded to kill an innocent man because of the public. And who was leading the public? Who was persuading them? Who had influence over them? Chief priests. And he released unto them him that for sedition and murder was cast into prison, whom they had desired, but he delivered Jesus to their will. And as they led him away, they laid hold upon one Simon, a Cyrenian, coming out of the country. He was coming out of the country. and on him that lay the cross, that he might bear it after Jesus. So Simon was one who helped to carry the cross of Jesus, and he was from a place in Africa. As far as I have seen on the map to lead me to that information. And there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. So they were, it was a company of people, a crowd of people, and of the women, they cried out for him. But Jesus, turning unto them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For, behold, the days are coming, in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never give suck. They begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? So, wow, that is very powerful. And to say what is to come, and there's so many things to break down and that, but we see it during our walk and our living as the days past us, and as we continue to live and see the destruction of things upon this earth. So in 32, and when they were come to the place which is called Calvary, there they crucified him, and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he be Christ, the chosen of God. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, sour wine, and saying, If thou be the King of Jews, save thyself. And the subscription also was written over him in the letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. So it said, This is the King of the Jews. Over his head was written this, probably stone carved in 3 different languages, Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, saying, This is the King of the Jews. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. But the other answering rebuked him, saying, Doest not thou fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And he indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man hath done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into the kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And so I'm just thinking about this guy who said, he's asking another guy, do you not fear God? And he's saying, what we have done, it is just. But this man, it is not just, that he is here. And he's confessing and pleading before the Lord at this time, which to me seemed like he already was a believer, may have already have been baptized in the faith. And during this time there was trials and tribulations, and he ended up in a situation. To me, he sounds like he was already a believer, that he knew that this man was holy, and that he was confessing up on the cross and asking, for forgiveness. Like, he was confessing his sins and asking for forgiveness, because he was like, remember me when thou comest into the kingdom. So how would he know this? A regular person who had no knowledge of Jesus, which is, my curiosity of this certain man who's up on the cross and confessing his sins and asking for and saying that what he done is he knew he did wrong. So and Jesus saying to him, truly I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. So I question, was he a believer who backslided, fell short? Because it sounded like he knew, And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And we're close to finishing up this chapter 23 to move on to 24, but I'm going to stop there. I hope that you have learned something today from this lesson. I most certainly have. And I pray that you will continue to read, pray, and be encouraged. Until next time.